Use my phone. Can everybody mute their mics on?
Yes.
Great. Good morning and welcome to the 42nd edition of the Durban International Film Festival, hosted by the Center for Creative Arts and made possible by the National Film and Video Foundation, the National Arts, Sports and Culture Department, and the KZN Film Commission, together with the National Arts Council. I'm Oliver Meth, and I'll be facilitating this morning's session titled Expanding Your Reach, Audio Description and Innovation. The presentation will alert you to a lost market. The panelists will showcase audio descriptions and how these make film accessible to persons with visual disabilities. The session will be moderated by Mthokozisi, who will introduce the panel. Then after, each of them will present and we'll later engage in a brief Q&A session. Then after, we'll also be launching an innovative mobile app, ShazaCin. And those of you joining us via Zoom, you're welcome to type your questions in the chat box. And for those of you who are on our live streams, please use the hashtag DIF2021 on Twitter. You can also comment on the live Facebook feed with your questions, which we'll engage with shortly after the presentation. Hand over to you, Mthokozisi, who will moderate the session.
Oh, I was muted. Thank you so much, Oliver, for that introduction. And morning, everyone. We are ShazaCin Accessible Media. And as Oliver has already just said, Welcome to our presentation titled Extending Your Reach, Audio Description and Innovation. So today we'll be speaking to you about the different aspects of audio description, how it works, and we'll also tell you a little bit about our company. Now, as Oliver has already said, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please don't hesitate to text them in the chat box, and we will get to those in the Q&A session at the end. So on our panel today are Shakila Maharaj.
Good morning, everyone.
Prashant Maharaj.
Good morning, everyone.
Deborah Ewing.
Good morning, everyone.
Mohammed Daler Khalil.
Good morning, everyone.
Nogwanda Stole.
Good morning, everyone.
Samgel Siwakuzwayo.
Good morning, everyone.
And myself, Mtogozi Sinchingila, the Content Development Lead at ShazaCin Accessible Media. Thank you, Prashant. May we have our first slide, please, Prashant.
Sorry, can you see it?
Not at the moment.
Let's see. Sorry about this. How about now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So at ShazaCin, we make content accessible to persons with visual impairments. We are a young, innovative company operating in the digital space, and we provide a 360-degree solution for audio description content creation, all the way through to audio description delivery through our mobile assistive app, which we'll tell you more about later. We are a Durban-based company with a global reach, and that's who ShazaCin is in a nutshell. And now I'll hand over to Sam to tell you exactly what audio description is.
Thank you, Mtolozisi. Good morning again, everyone. My name is Samgilisiwe Kuzwayo, and I'm one of the content developers and as well as voices for ShazaCin Accessible Media. So I'm just going to tell you just a bit more of what basically audio description is all about and highlight some of the social impacts that come with audio description. So audio description is an art form and an access tool. We use words skillfully to describe images that are in real time or recorded, in motion or still. For example, films, television shows, theater events, museums, and art tours. Whatever we can see can be described. We create a rich, imaginative experience for visually impaired viewer to provide a full understanding. Blind persons live in a visual world, and audio description supports their integration and mainstreaming. Next slide, please. So some of the social impacts that come with audio description include creating awareness on issues surrounding visual disabilities and allowing visually impaired persons to exercise their rights to accessible information and communication. Generating employment for both sighted and visually impaired persons. And last but not least, participating in the economy and contributing to the growth, as visually impaired persons are a largely untapped consumer group that corporates should be targeting with audio-described content. Thank you so much. I would like to pass over to Shakila with some of the facts and fictions around audio description.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Sam. Can I be heard clearly?
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, you can.
fine. So I'm Shakila Maharaj. I'm the MD of ShazaCin and the founder and the innovator behind the ShazaCin mobile application. I'm going to be sharing with you some facts with respect to audio description users, what's driving growth in audio description, as well as how to extend your market. So let's look at some of the facts around audio description users. Many think that if you are blind, like myself, that visually impaired persons live in a world of darkness and that visual information is of little relevance to us. This, in fact, is a myth. We live in a visual world like everyone else. And understanding this visual world is critical for our essential functioning and development across the lifespan. People with disabilities, well, this is a fact given by the World Health Organization, that 83% of persons with disabilities acquire it in the course of their lives. 17% are born with it, congenital. Given this, the majority of persons with visual disabilities once did see and carry a vivid visual memory. Audio description supports and stimulates and retains this visual memory. Even those who have never seen still perceive the visual world, and audio description provides a greater understanding as well as an important visual frame of reference. Now let's look at what is driving the growth of audio description. There are many factors. The first is regulatory frameworks. Many countries have passed laws, communication acts, for example, the USA, Canada, the UK, the European Union, and more recently, South Africa this year, the ICASA Disability Code. These laws prescribe a minimum percentage of audio description on broadcasts. Internationally, this minimum percentage ranges between 10 and 20%. In South Africa, Mtoko will talk more to that later on. But in actual fact, the availability of audio description in these countries that I've mentioned exceeds 40 to 60% on average. Why is that? And this comes to the next growth factor, and that is consumer demand and consumer size. The visually impaired market is growing. There's an aging population globally. And with age, very often visual impairments result. Mtoko will give you more stats later and specifics around the actual size. But it suffices to say that the World Health Organization states 10% of the world population are persons with disabilities. The largest portion of that, more than 1/3, 40%, are persons with visual impairments. So it's a significant market. As visually impaired persons become aware of audio description and realize its benefits, they demand access to visual content, the right to access this information. And it is this demand then that is driving growth way beyond the rights issue of laws. Let's look at another growth factor. Video content. There has been an exponential growth of video content on the internet. In recent years, the trend has been to shift information and communication to video. As this happens, people with visual disabilities are being left behind. Hence the need then for all the technological giants like your Google, like Apple, like Microsoft, to come out with software like voiceovers, object recognition, all of which are versions of audio description, enabling video content to become accessible to persons with visual disabilities. This in itself represents a huge area of growth for audio description. Look at the streaming channels. So as I mentioned, visually impaired persons become aware of the value and benefit of audio description and demand it. They have actually brought lawsuits against streaming channels, cinemas, and television broadcasters. An example is Netflix, Hulu, and AMC theaters in the USA. Now you find on Netflix, on Amazon Prime, Apple, as well as other streaming channels, an increasing number of audio description films being made available. There are 1,500 or more titles on Netflix, 1,800 on Amazon Prime. So these are just some of the factors that are driving growth in the audio description industry. Now let's look at what does it mean in terms of audio description and extending your market reach. Very simply, it is a fact that the way in which you make your film available will influence your market. So let's look at how audio description becomes available. Put audio description on your box office release and you will find visually impaired persons buying tickets to see your film in the cinema. Put audio description on your television shows, and you will increase your viewership as visually impaired persons now begin to watch your broadcasts. As well as that, you'll be supporting the broadcaster in becoming compliant. Put audio description on your film, and immediately you make it marketable to your subscription streaming channels like Netflix and save them the cost of having to pay to do it themselves. Put audio description on your film, on your online stores, on DVDs, or in whichever format, MP3 format that you sell it. And people with visual disabilities will buy it. But the one-stop solution that addresses all these platforms in one go is your ShazaCin mobile app. Put audio description on the ShazaCin mobile app, and immediately audio description becomes available across all the platforms I've mentioned. Furthermore, at an instant, you've acquired fame because the users of audio description across Africa will instantly have access to your phone. So audio description is the present, it's the future, so embrace it. Thank you very much, and I'll hand over to Mtoko.
Thank you so much, Shakila. And yes, audio description is the present and the future. And now we just want to show you a little bit of what it will look like if you actually embrace it into your film projects. Now, in our relatively short existence at ShazaCin, we've been privileged to work on the audio description tracks for a number of titles. These include Kings of Joburg these include titles for Netflix, and as well as a project to audio describe 9 local films, which was actually facilitated by the KwaZulu-Natal Film Commission. So please do enjoy just a short example of our work, and you'll be watching Kings of Joburg and Riding with Sugar, which we worked on for Netflix, as well as the very first audio described project in South Africa, which is Sticks and Stones, that we did for SABC. Please enjoy.
Text appears, Shona Ferguson. Flashback. Mo watches as Nero and Pumsi choose the elephant and embrace.
Yeah, hike.
Steng looks through the scope of the sniper rifle and sees Mo. The bullet hits Mo's shoulder. Bullets pepper the walls and the windows. Mo crawls on the floor as the elephant lies beside Nero's lifeless hand. Present. Back to the sobbing Mo. Putting the elephant on a small table next to the photo of Nero. Mo is reflected in a big mirror, sitting on the bed, his right arm in a sling. He gets up and walks to the window, a deep and tired frown on his face. Looking out, he puts his hand on his injured shoulder. Something catches his eye. He notices Jasmine's red car parked on the street. Sunlight shines through the canopy of red-leafed trees. A montage. A BMX bike on dusty red gravel, moving through a shanty town. A bird's eye view of the BMX rider cycling alongside a moving train. A woman is shoved to the ground by a man, body and face painted white, standing over her, scowling.
Do you even see?
Cops in combat gear stand in formation, a mob of ochre-painted faces screaming, chaos. Joshua stays forward, 18 years old, African, with determined striking brown eyes and a scarred cheek.
Kuvela abalingisi, Talitha Ndima, ongubhalisa, Treasure Nkosi, onguthabo. Nandi Nyembe ugogo. Linda Sebenzo umama J. Welile Nzuza uvusi. Litha Boy ungulwazi. Marona Gwele umbali. Molihi Makobane ungulebo. Sticks and Stones yenziwe nguThandi Brewer.
Text appears, Shona Ferguson.
Thank you so much for that. I'm Mohammed Daler Khalil, as Mtoka has mentioned. I work with content development here at ShazaCin. And now that you've seen a showcase of our work and how we use audio description to make visual content accessible, I'm going to be speaking a little bit about our methodology behind this. So basically, we assess the film and agree on an approach when it comes to scripting and editing relevant to its context. The skill of writing audio description is to objectively describe what you see. Audio description is not prose, interpretation, nor an explanation of what you're seeing. It is specifically an objective account of the images and actions as they unfold. It must fit in spaces between the dialogue, and it can't extend the length of the film. We then audition and select a key voice for the description, and voicing of audio description is a very skillful function. The voicer cannot theatrically dramatize the narration, nor should the voicer read the audio description in a monotone. It is a fine balance between the both of narrating in an interesting, appealing manner with clarity and smoothness. It requires much training to achieve this skill. We then record and direct, mix, master, and integrate all the audio into the film soundtrack. And this is a specialized intensive process, which is why we have blind persons verifying throughout the entire process. And there's ethics and quality control until the final draft. This is all compliant with internationally recognized standards. I will now hand over to Deborah Ewing, who will talk about the ethics and quality control. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Mohammed. I'm Deborah Ewing. My role at ShazaCin is managing the ethics and quality control and editing through the process that Mohammed's described. So ethical principles for audio description cover rights and values, use of language, cultural context. I'm sorry you don't appear to have my video on, but sorry about that. Quality control is about upholding and contributing to international standards, including for accuracy, appropriateness, and aesthetic quality. So I'll share 3 examples of how we apply this at ShazaCin. Firstly, appearance. A blind viewer needs information about how characters look. As a principle, we refer to ethnicity, skin color, color of clothing, and other physical attributes consistently. Describing appearance in a fast-paced film, such as Kandasami's The Wedding, which ShazaCin described, requires giving a basic visual image that is enhanced by dialogue, accents, and names. The norms and use of language shift over time, so this is an evolving field of AD. Terminology around ethnicity, hair, body type, age, disability, gender presentation, and other characteristics need to be acceptable to the person or the group described, as well as being meaningful and relevant to the viewer. This is standard practice internationally, and the ShazaCin Style Guide is a living document that is contributing to this emerging body of knowledge. Could I have the next slide, please? Okay, so brands. Revealing brands is not advertising in audio description. Where brands are shown in a film, leaving them out of description impairs the experience of the blind viewer. Kings of Joburg is a useful example, where luxury cars are important visual cues to the action. So describers must not censor for blind viewers or limit or distort the information. A critical aspect of quality control is prioritization. So the description must cover what is essential to understanding. In a key scene from the movie Riding with Sugar, which ShazaCin described, there is little space at first to describe the flamboyant antagonist, Mambo. Mambo is reading a book, but his style of dress is his defining characteristic. The priority here, however, is making the connection between the main character, Joshua's father, and Mambo through this book. You might have noticed in the clip we showed from Riding with Sugar, a strong image of a hand with red soil flowing through it. And that is an important motif, but it wasn't described the first time, it was described a few seconds later. So as Mohammed was explaining, we have to meet all these standards and follow through as the movie continues. ShazaCin is committed to meeting the highest standards for African audiences, and this market is growing by the day. Mthokozisi is going to say more about this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deborah, for that. And I am back, and I'll just be picking up where Shakila left off on just the size of the audio description market. So the World Health Organization estimates that there are over 250 million people living with visual impairments worldwide. And this number is expected to balloon by 40% by the year 2050. Africa has 50 million people living with visual disabilities, and South Africa has over 1 million. Now, earlier this year, we commissioned a market report just so we could better understand audio description and its potential. And I'm just going to share to you some of the things that our market report found. Africa is the fastest growing entertainment market in the world. Pay TV revenues here in Africa are expected to reach 7.2 billion rand by the year 2025. That is just around the corner. The addressable market for audio description is worth 381.3 million rand. Now, with ROI already so difficult to come by here with South African films, particularly for South African filmmakers, exposing yourself to just even a little bit of this addressable market for audio description can really, really be quite the boost. Now, as mentioned by Shakila, one of the key growth factors for audio description is the fact that the ICASA regulations stipulate that broadcasters, subscription services, as well as community TV stations must start describing their content. And as Shakila already mentioned, this will be implemented in a yearly rollout, a certain percentage by each year, until our content is mostly and then fully described. So in the first year of this rollout, if just the minimum requirements are met, the market potential for audio description is worth 15.3 million rand. In the second year of the rollout, that potential goes up to 25.6 million rand. And by year 3, that goes up to 38.9 million rand. Now, it is important to note that the information that I've just given you here speaks to audio description just as it applies to the entertainment industry only. However, and this is important to note, everything that can be seen can be described. I'll say it again. Everything that can be seen can be described, including this very Zoom session that we're on right now. The applications for audio description are quite literally as far as the eye can see. There is massive potential for audio description. And even if you do describe your content, the question will still remain. How do you reach this? How do you reach that market? And I'll now hand over to Prashant to answer that all-important question.
Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Awesome. I'm Prashant Maharaj. I'm the Technological Innovation Lead at ShazaCin Accessible Media. So besides creating description tracks, ShazaCin has come up with an accessible solution for delivering these tracks to the hands of blind users. So enter the ShazaCin app, as you see on the slide here. Where cinema houses and local broadcasters do not have the digital capabilities of delivering audio description, ShazaCin has developed a way to make it accessible on mobile devices. So one of the foundational features of the app is its listen function, which uses your phone's microphone to listen to a video, say a video, playing on TV in a cinema environment, a computer playback, or any other external device. If the audio described track for the video is in the ShazaCin database, the track will open and synchronize to the exact timestamp of the video. So I'll just demonstrate this in the clip in the next slide. Okay, so as you can see, we're using a tablet and iPad with a random clip of one of the movies that are saved on the app's database. The app is already opened up. When you activate the listen function, as you see below, you will see the loading bars load up as the video is playing in the background. The app is listening. Once it finds a match, you will see the title open up. Once you open the title, you can see from there the movie is identified, and it is scrolled to the exact timestamp of where it's playing in the movie. As you can see there, that's where the Seek tab is. And with that, a blind user can have independence in controlling their audio described experience. So from there, as you can see, this allows blind users to enjoy different forms of visual media from any point in time without the limitations of being able to enjoy a movie only when played from the beginning. The ShazaCin app will deliver AD for you, saving you the costly expenses of setting up your own delivery infrastructure. Okay, so if you want to discover more about the app and other services offered by ShazaCin, check out our splash page where you'll be able to see the testimonials of users who have already experienced the app and get more information about audio description in general and for upcoming projects and anything we're doing in the future. as a special treat for our DIF audience today, we'll be giving you an early access to the ShazaCin app, a pre-launch, before our official public release. Just use the link mentioned here on the slide and register with your Google account. So the link is diff.shazacin.com. That's diff.shazacin.com, as you can see here. This is the screen that you should come across when you click on the link, click on the sign-in button, and register with your Google account, and you'll have access to the app and the content that is on it, tinker around with it. So thank you guys for your time, and I will now hand over to Nkwanda.
Thank you, Prashant. My name is Nwanda Sithole, and I am a content writer and voice at ShazaCin Accessible Media. As we go forward, ShazaCin Accessible Media intends to achieve the following. Our vision: to be the leader in audio description services in KZN. To be the leader in audio description services and make KZN the hub in South Africa and Africa with accessible content video production. This will be based on continuous research and best global practices and standards set. Our goals: to focus on local films made by local filmmakers in local languages for the African visually impaired market, to conscientize all players in the video and visual industry on audio description, that it becomes an integral part of their production planning and budgeting. Next slide, please. To lobby with government, provincial film authorities, and film funders to establish policies and strategies with targeted budgets for audio description. No film production grant should be awarded without the inclusion of AD. To train and create new skill sets that provide careers for both persons with and without disabilities in audio description. To enrich the lives of visually disabled persons by growing their understanding and appreciation for the visual world, children and adults alike. To create an intensive collection of local AD films and provide equal choices for the visually disabled audiences. Next slide, please. To ensure that the ShazaCin mobile app is a part of every South African and African visually disabled and blind person's solution to accessing audio description. Our next step: we wish for each of you to become a champion of inclusion and make your future and present video productions accessible through audio description. Thank you. I would like to hand over to Nthokozisi.
Thank you so much, Nwanda, and thank you so much for just taking all of us through the ShazaCin's DNA. So again, thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope that you found this enjoyable and informative. But more importantly, we trust that everyone will leave here today and make it a mission to make inclusive filmmaking a standard practice in South Africa. Please don't hesitate to contact us with any questions or queries, because we would love to engage with you. Now, in a few moments, we'll move on to the Q&A session of the presentation. But first, we would love to invite you to watch some of the description that we were assigned to do by the KwaZulu-Natal Film Commission. We would actually love to thank all the filmmakers that were involved in this process. They were so gracious and patient throughout, having to dig through their archives to provide us with some of the materials that we needed to do our job. And we are very grateful to them for that. I'd just like to note again that everything in this project was KwaZulu-Natal based, and it is the start of our vision to make KwaZulu-Natal and Durban an audio description hub in Africa. So please enjoy some of the audio description from Keeping Up from Kandasami's The Wedding, Kings of Marbury Street, and The Letter Reader. Then afterwards, Oliver will lead us through the Q&A session. Thank you so much, everybody.
Jody and Jennifer Kandasamy.
But sometimes a mother's love can be too much, I tell
They
you.
jog.
The way we love our children.
Jody takes a selfie with Sharks players.
Jody! Jody, don't dawdle! But why I must lie?
Her mother jogs on.
When they grow up and it's time to let go. Hey, wait. You have to have some more.
Shanti Naidu dishes food for her son Prashan. Produced by Sudha Singh, Jay and Woodley.
Hey, I don't know.
Screenplay Rory Booth, Jay and Woodley. Jody and Jennifer leave the sunny promenade smiling contentedly. Then Prashan holding up a ring.
You bring out the best in me, and I can't imagine life without you.
Clean shaven, slick black hair.
Make me the luckiest man in the world.
Smartly dressed.
Jody Kandasamy, will you marry me?
He wrinkles his brow, then beams.
Indingiliza emhlophe ikhanga sagcwayiza phezu kwengemuva elimnyama elinentuthu. Amagama athi The Ergo Company akhanya ngaphakathi kwayo. Uphawu lweKwaZulu-Natal Film Commission, Our Kingdom is Your Stage. Uphawu lwe-NFVF oluyimbali yakhiwe ngemisebe yelanga. Umbhalo omhlophe uvela esendlalaleni esimnyama, Sleeves Up Media and The Ergo Company presents. Izulu liguqubele, lomisile, uvela izintaba kanye namagquma. Isihloko esithi The Letter Reader, ngombhalo omhlophe. Kukhona indawana yasemakhaya eseceleni kwalamagquma. Kunezihlahla ezimbalwa ezinkulu ezigcwalisa amathafa ambozwe ubutshano bomile. Kunomfula omncane ogelezayo onqamula phakathi kwawo lamagquma. Nomgwaqo omude ogcakela intaba eseduze nalomfula. Kanye nezintaba ezimbozwe inkungule ebuqamama. Unyanyavu lwemoto enhle kanokusha eluhlaza kwesibhakabhaka luhamba emgwaqweni omude wetiyela ogcakele intaba. Ihamba ize igudle isiwa esinehlathi ngenzansi. Intaba ekusona lesiwo inotshani obomile ngaphezulu kanye nolukuhlaza cwe ngenzansi ngasehlathini.
Don't think, just jump.
Harold stands on the roof above Sais and Raja, shirtless. Tiki joins him. Harold beams with joy. They both stand confidently on the roof. They begin performing dance moves together. Harold and Tiki jump down onto Raja and Sais. Raja falls hard onto the floor, his gun escaping his grasp. Tiki slaps Sais's face, whilst Harold pulls on Raja's ears. The boys stand above Raja and Sais and throw chili powder into their eyes.
Take that, your mommy!
Grandma grabs Dev's collar and slaps his face.
Reggie, go and help the boys. I'll take care of things here.
The baby's coming. Help me.
I'll call the ambulance, then I'll come back. Don't worry, everything's gonna be fine.
The baby is not waiting for any ambulance. Or grab some towels, and we have to breathe now. Go. Breathe.
Tiki kicks out Raja's gold tooth. Raja and Sais run away from Harold and Tiki.
Okay, great. Thank you, Msogozisi, and thank you to the rest of the panelists for a great presentation. We don't seem to have much questions, but there are a few comments that have been shared on the Facebook page. Perhaps while I look for those, if I can just pose a question to Msogozisi and the team, just to get an idea of or an understanding of, are there any plans in place that are aimed to fast track audio description technology to improve cinema access and experience for those that are visually impaired?
Am I taking this on the panel? Okay, I'll take this. Yeah, no, we are actively, Oliver, trying to work on that. That is how the ShazaCin app came through, because we did see that there is a massive gap in the African market when it comes to audio description, because in other countries, as you say, audio description is available in cinemas. Audio description is available in cinemas, and it is readily available through the different broadcasters. Through the different broadcasters that they have. So when we started with looking into audio description, we thought that, okay, we can just describe, but our continent, our country, and our continent is not yet at that stage where the broadcasters and the cinemas can actually have the infrastructure to host audio description, and that was the genesis for the ShazaCin app. It wasn't enough for just to be content creators. We needed to offer a delivery platform as well, so that we could cover all the bases with regards to audio description.
Okay, great.
I don't know if Shakila would love to come in. Yes, okay. Please.
So yes, exactly what Ntoko said. So the challenge is that it is costly for cinemas to put in infrastructure, and cinemas are reluctant to do that in South Africa. And the ShazaCin app is then the solution. So we position the ShazaCin app to be a partner to the industry. So other than developing the description content, we would like the industry, cinemas, broadcasters, to see the ShazaCin app as its partner for the delivery. And that's where the solution lies. Thank you.
Okay, great. There's a comment online that I see by Nicole Kutsia, and she's saying that this is so insightful. Audio description is essential to allow blind persons to feel represented and included in the credible work of cinema. It's truly an amazing tool that the world needs. I'll read another comment by Lydia Pretorius. And she says that the app is a game changer for audio description. It really guarantees access once the filmmakers have done their bit. I've seen just one more pop in as well that I'll read before I hand it back over to Mthokozisi. There's a question by Sipho Ndebele, who's asking, where can one find the market research report that Mthokozisi had mentioned in his presentation?
Do you want me to take that?
Yes, please, Shakila.
Okay, so we commissioned this market research report, and the report is with us. We haven't actually made it available for public consumption, but we release aspects of it. If we find that there is a need, then we will in time, it is a lengthy document, so we will in time summarize parts and be able to release it. But basically, the document is within, in our possession. And or just to conclude, it is a living document in that we find this market and industry is moving at a pace. So we would need to look at updating as we go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, sure. We still have a bit more time left, and I see that there are some people online as well that are streaming. So I'm just fumbling through the Twitter page as well to see if there are any other questions or comments. Perhaps while I look through those, if I can just pose another question. It's just the thought that I had in terms of will there be enough units for a group to attend one movie session? So if there are multiple screens within a film shot, how would that AD description work? So I'm not sure if that's clear.
But sorry, Oliver, please may you rephrase the question?
So each accessible screen on a film shot, will there be enough units for a group to attend one movie session? So if the cinema complex has more than one accessible screen.
Oh, okay. So this is one of the precise reasons why we actually wanted we have the ShazaCin app exists, because at the moment without the app, the problem that broadcasters and even cinema screens would have is that they would have to turn on the audio description track while the movie or while the TV show is playing for everyone to hear. And some sighted audiences would rather not hear the audio description track. They would just want to hear the film. So now with the app, you can go to any screening. If the app is loaded, if that screening or that film is loaded onto the app, you can go to any screening and you can just turn on the app and the app will listen, and you can put on your earphones and you can listen independently to the audio description track and the film soundtrack without I don't want to say impairing, but I guess impairing anyone else's viewing experience.
Or disturbing.
Shakila, would you like to?
Can I be heard?
Yes.
Okay. So, no, I think what you shared is right. And I'm not sure if I fully understood the question, but the audio description of the film is a audio track is a description track that's integrated into the video soundtrack. So although the track is developed independently, the description script, then the voicing and so forth, it's then integrated into the video soundtrack. So my sense then is that in terms of cinemas, if a cinema needs to play the film with the description, it either can do it in one of two ways. It either can relay the description track independently, which blind viewers then can sit alongside viewers and just access the description track through technology built into the cinemas. But we don't have that in South Africa. You have that in the UK and you have that in the US and in some of the European countries. So consequently, then the description track either has to be broadcasted alongside the soundtrack in the cinema, as Mtoko said, for everyone to hear, which means then that people with sight may not want to go through that experience. So consequently, the app allows for you to sit alongside sighted people and watch at the same time, in the same place, independently, a film and enjoy it independently. Many blind persons like myself, when we go to the cinema, we ask our friends or family to tell us what's going on. But if not, you just have to be content with missing a big part of the plot and piecing the pieces together yourself. So that's how most blind persons watch films and television. So the app actually is a game changer in that respect.
Yeah, sure. Can I rope in the other panelists just before we wrap up, some parting shots?
Yes, please.
Nokwanda?
Hi, Oliver, I'm here.
Great. Any last parting words before we wrap up?
If everyone takes the initiative and contacts ShazaCin and becomes a soldier, a warrior of inclusion, we could have a lot of films available to the visually impaired community in a very short space of time, and they would also be growing their own market reach at the same time.
Great. Yes. Mohammed?
Yeah, to add to that, I think that one thing that I find very interesting is that across all visual content, there's always a way for us to make it accessible, whether it be a film, whether it be a commercial, whether it be a website, whether it be a picture on social media. I think that not only can we use it for entertainment purposes, but I think that just making visual content accessible to people can be something that can be turned into educational content, informative content. And in these unprecedented times in our country, I think that informing people on certain things that, like, for example, if you had to share a picture to people, informing them on certain news, visually impaired persons cannot necessarily access what information is on that picture, and that's where audio description helps. So from a broad perspective, I think audio description is a great access tool for everybody to be aware of in South Africa, as it is very much evident in other countries.
Sure. Thank you, Sam.
Hi again, everyone. So basically, what I normally do is when people ask me what I do at work or what audio description is all about, I just basically explain to them that imagine watching a film without seeing it, but with your eyes closed and just hearing the sounds that are happening, hearing a door closing, hearing a car moving, but not knowing who's closing that door or not knowing who's moving that car. And then that's how I explain to them that's what audio description is all about. And that's only when people get it. And I obviously still struggle to understand, how is it not like a standard procedure? How is it not a thing whereby every film has to have audio description included? So all I can say on my end is that it's up to us to ensure that people are aware that audio description, that blind people face such issues, or people with disabilities of any sorts do face certain issues that us sighted people don't actually necessarily have to go through. And it's all then up to us to make sure that we raise awareness on such issues and that we do make the world more inclusive for everyone that lives in it. Thank you.
Great. Prashant?
Hi, Oliver. Okay, so just adding to what everyone else has said, what ShazaCin strives to do is to make audio description affordable and cost effective to individuals who try to incorporate it into their work. So our work is trying to make it easier to incorporate accessibility into their work. So at the end, we are just trying to promote inclusivity as best as possible. We're trying to get the word out, and people should realize that there is a growing market out there, and there are people who are left out that really want to experience the different types of work that are out there in the film industry. So we hope that I guess with this presentation and from the work we do, that they can realize that we're really trying to make a positive difference in society. So, and to try and make it as fair and affordable as we can, so that no one is left out at the end of the day. So yeah, that's it from my side.
Sure. Fezile and Deborah?
Deborah, would you like to go first?
Okay, thanks so much, Oliver. Thanks, Mtolo. I think we've discussed quite a bit how audio description benefits blind people and those who are visually impaired, and how it can benefit filmmakers because of the market. I'd just like to add that it's a benefit to everybody, because in an increasingly world where we increasingly rely on video content for education, for training, for many other things, especially under the lockdown, audio description is of particular use to people who face learning barriers, people who have difficulties concentrating or have to do multitasking, and anyone who faces some visual limitations, whether it's tiredness, issues with screen, issues with color, for example. So I think the potential for this tool, both in terms of access and entertainment and comprehension, is just so important. And it's been great to be part of this process. Thank you.
Oh, is it me? Yeah, no, I think just to piggyback off what Deborah is saying, if you look back in history, you'll find that there are many inventions that make life easier for everyone today that evolved from inventions that were made to help make life easier for certain people living with disabilities. For example, off-ramp, an off-ramp that you'll take when you're driving up King up or down King Dinuzulu. Off-ramps evolved from a ramp that you push a wheelchair up. And if you look in history, to a lot of things that make our life easier, you will find that they did evolve. It did evolve from tools that were used to increase access for certain certain disabled peoples around the world. So I do believe, and we do believe at ShazaCin, that as time goes by, audio description will stop just being an access tool for visually impaired persons, but it will start being just a thing that everyone around the world uses to understand and to process visual information much easier and much better. So yeah, and it all starts like this, and we're happy to be part of that process. And yeah, I do see one question on the panel asking about the cost to add audio description to films and what is the process. Would you like to take that one, Shakila?
Okay. Can I be heard?
Yes.
All right. So audio description is priced according to international standards, and we follow the benchmark of what the international rates are. So basically, it's worked out on per recorded minute, whether we do an audio description tour for a tourism destination site or for a film, or whether we do an audio description recording for a book, because we describe books as well. Many books have illustrations, and these illustrations would have been previously left out for persons with visual disabilities. And there's an implication there, and I know I'm digressing. Mathematical and STEM subjects, persons with visual disabilities had limited access to studying those subjects because of the graphical data. Now, with audio description and the growing techniques around describing still images as well as motion images, and remember real time as well, like sports, we're able to apply audio descriptions in all these different ways. So coming back then to the cost, it's per recorded minute, and the recorded minute is determined by the duration of the recording. So if, for example, you've got a 60-minute video production, it would be 60 times what that recorded minute is. And we would have to look at your product and give you that. And in that recorded minute, what is involved is the assessment of the project, the scripting of the description, which produces a full description script and dialogue sheets, as well as then it goes on, it includes in it us sourcing and auditioning and training a voicer. It includes a blind person verifying throughout. It includes the ethics, as you heard, the editing and ethics control throughout, and quality assurance. It includes eventually the recording of that description track and its integration, which includes sound editing and design. So eventually you in that one per recorded minute price, you're getting a comprehensive list of tasks completed and outputs achieved. And at the end, what you receive as the client is you will receive a description script, an independent description track with just the description, and you would receive an integrated description track into the video soundtrack. And most importantly, you would receive delivery on the app. So filmmakers can come forward and get their description tracks developed by us. But the sad part is once it's developed, what do you do with it? So unless you go out and extend your market reach like the way we spoke, or you put it on the app that allows you to instantly reach all those platforms, your description track will just stay there as an academic exercise. So it's critical that when you leave this presentation, you understand that describing the content of your film is half of the solution. The other half is the delivery. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Very insightful presentations and great conversation as well. And I hope that everybody on the platform makes use of the demo app. And if there are any further questions or engagements that would like to happen offline, you can contact the team on the details provided at the end of the presentation. So I think ideally, just to wrap up for me, it sounds as if, or it looks as if the intention is similar to a sports announcer on the radio, giving the play-by-play of what's happening during a game. So the benefits, ideally, for an audio description, as most of the presenters have outlined, will allow for the blind and also people that are low vision audience members to truly experience to producer's intent as far as the visuals go. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in on our live streams and on the Zoom platforms. Thank you to our panelists, and thank you to the ShazaCin team. And a special thank you to the sponsors of the Durban International Film Festival for making this possible, the National Film and Video Foundation, the National Arts, Sports and Culture Department, apologies, the KZN Film Commission, and the National Arts Council. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.